Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And I got a story for you that's coming straight out of Okaloosa, Florida. And they've been having some serious problems with police officers and U.S. citizens and many confrontations that have been very disturbing. So, what in the world is going on in Okaloosa? And this is a new one where a woman sues Florida sheriff alleging she was twice forced out of her home naked as deputies executed warrants on two separate occasions. A woman in Florida has sued the sheriff of a department that came under scrutiny in the fatal shooting of a black Air Force senior airman, alleging that she was twice forced out of her home naked as deputies executed warrants at her home. LaTanya Griffin, who says she was neither arrested nor charged after the encounters, seeks damages of more than $1 million from the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office. The suit alleges her Fourth Amendment rights, which prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures, were violated when deputies forced her out of her home unclothed on August 29th, 2019, and again a second time on May 28th, 2020. She was not the target of the warrants, her attorney said. The lawsuit filed in federal court on Monday evening names Okaloosa County Sheriff Eric Aiden and Grady Carpenter, a now retired deputy who was present during the execution of both warrants, as defendants. Carpenter provided direction and oversight for Griffin's naked seizure and the deputy's operations in May 2020 incident, the latest lawsuit charges. Carpenter did not immediately reply to requests for comment. A spokesperson for the sheriff's office said in a statement that Aiden is unable to provide comments about this matter because the events described in the lawsuit occurred before he took office, and he was not involved in or present for the execution of either warrant. Aiden was elected in November 2020 and was sworn in as a sheriff in January 2021. Griffin, 45, Miss Griffin, previously sued the sheriff's office in federal court last August related to the 2019 incident. She alleges in that suit that deputies used a battering ram to enter her home while they were serving a search warrant and ordered her at gunpoint to remain nude in front of officers and the public, including her 6-year-old daughter and her 14-year-old son. The earlier suit named as defendants are Aiden Carpenter and another deputy, Raphael Brown, who also did not immediately reply to a request for comment. In court documents, lawyers for the sheriff's office said in response to the first suit that the deputy's actions were consistent with established, reasonable, and generally accepted police procedures. Really? They're going to just bring this woman out of her home stark naked in front of the whole world. They didn't even give her a chance to put any clothes on. The lawyers also said the actions of the two deputies named in that suit were made in good faith, and while they were acting within the course and scope of their employment as deputy sheriffs with the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office. The first suit is still in the discovery phase, Griffin's attorney Kevin Anderson said. The latest suit alleges the May 2020 incident bore strikingly the 2020 incident bore striking similarity to the August 29th seizure. The second incident involved the execution of an arrest warrant before dawn at Griffin's two-story home in a modest residential community directly parallel to a busy street roadway, according to the lawsuit. The suit contends Carpenter failed to exercise his supervisory authority to stop the constitutional violation. Once they were outside her residence, this is the second time, Griffin's children watched her during her naked detention for a substantial amount of time, the lawsuit says, adding that her hands were zip tied or handcuffed behind her back. Though she objected, Griffin remained naked in the presence of multiple law enforcement officers, the suit says. The deputies eventually placed a tank top over her head, providing partial covering but not concealment of her genitalia, the suit says. So they gave her a t-shirt, placed it over her head, but her body was still exposed. Anderson, speaking on her behalf, Attorney Anderson, speaking on her behalf, said Griffin was humiliated and has since moved from Okaloosa County, in the Florida Panhandle east of Pensacola. She moved to the northern part of the state. He called the deputies' actions in both incidents abhorrent. They took no precautions to preserve her dignity, the attorney said in an interview on Tuesday. She was humiliated and made to do what they wanted her to do. She was treated like an animal. Griffin's nudity continued outside her home, at the roadside, and inside a law enforcement vehicle, the lawsuit says. According to the suit, Griffin suffered loss of liberty and freedom, physical inconvenience, physical discomfort, mental anguish, emotional distress, emotional suffering, mental and emotional harm, embarrassment, humiliation, and injury to dignity and injury to her reputation. She is seeking an unspecified amount of damages, including for medical care, lost earnings and income, as well as relocation expenses for the current claim. This sheriff's office already faces scrutiny after a deputy shot and killed Air Force Senior Airman Roger Fortson on May 3rd after he answered his door holding a gun pointed downward. The sheriff's office also faced criticism this year after the release of a video of one of its deputies mistaking the sound of an acorn hitting his patrol vehicle for a gunshot. The deputy then fired multiple times at the police SUV, where a black man was handcuffed in the back seat. The man was not injured in the incident in November, and the deputy has resigned. There are many instances where the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office has been scrutinized, Anderson said. It just takes a quick Google to see deadly force utilized or there being indiscretion with seizures of people within the community and supervisors who are asleep at the wheel when the deputies are running wild. He said the sheriff's office needs to come under scrutiny by an outside agency, ideally the Justice Department. Man, this young lady had two separate search warrants perpetrated against her, and in both scenarios, they had the woman come outside of her home stark naked. Didn't give her an opportunity to put any clothes on. Even if there were multiple officers there where she couldn't have hid anything in her clothes or anything, they didn't give her the decent humanity and humanness to even get dressed. You talking about an embarrassment to her and her family, and even in one of the search warrants, she was naked in front of her two children, her son and her daughter. What is going on with the level of arrogance and egregiousness with the Okaloosa Sheriff's Department? As I said, and I did a previous video on the Air Force airman, the young man who got shot and killed opening his own door at his apartment, happened right there in Okaloosa. And now you have a scenario where this young lady had two separate search warrants that were not for her, and they have violated her Fourth Amendment constitutional rights on both occasions. What is happening with our police forces? There is an over-exuberance to want to yield their power over people when they have not done anything wrong. We have to have a better vetting and a better vehicle for make sure that we maintain the right police officers, that even if somebody's being detained or there is an arrest warrant being utilized, that these people are still treated as human beings. There are way too many stories where police officers are treating our U.S. tax-paying citizens like common criminals before they are even convicted in a court of law. I believe this young lady, if this situation with these two separate search warrants and how they treated her during the search and seizure at her home and left her nude in public view, uh, is definitely a scenario where a lawsuit could be filed. Um, they never found anything. She was never arrested, and they did it on two separate occasions. This is a clear example where the system has failed, and now they're going to have to pay the piper in civil court. So you have this particular case with this Florida woman, LaTanya Griffin, who is seeking over $1 million. And of course, that Air Force airman, that young man who was 23 years old, who got shot and killed by an Okaloosa police officer in his own home, is going to garner another civil lawsuit. Uh, these two particular cases may even bankrupt this small town of Okaloosa if they don't change their behavior on how they are interacting with innocent U.S. civilians there in Florida. We have to do a better job of making sure that even when someone is detained at a traffic stop or there's a warrant being issued for a search and seizure, that the people are still treated with respect. And this is a clear case of a violation of her human rights and respect for her as a woman, to have her naked in front of police officers, her own children, in front of the street and the roadway where people could pass by. Is already embarrassing to have somebody, to have law enforcement searching your home where your neighbors and everybody can see it. But then it makes it even worse when they are bringing you out of your home and you don't have any clothes on, male or female. But it makes it especially silly and egregious to do it to a woman in front of her two children. Man, tell me what you think in this. And then she was never arrested. So Okaloosa County Sheriff's Department is going to have multiple lawsuits due to some of the things that they're doing to their citizens down there. And maybe the U.S. Department of Justice needs to look at this county and see what the heck is going on with their law enforcement folks. There should be a parity and a symbiotic relationship between our public safety, our law enforcement, and our innocent citizens that are trying just to navigate their way through life. Tell me what you think of this particular story. A woman sues Florida Sheriff, alleging she was twice forced out of her home naked as deputies executed warrants and never found anything. This is the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.